So there is the non-believer feeling anxious to share and kind of frustrated that the believing spouse isn't open. That we've covered that. There's the believing spouse being willing or not to be open. There's this other really important dynamic that I think is one of the most repeated and dangerous parts about a mixed faith marriage, which is that the believing spouse starts to look on the non-believing spouse as a disappointment. Or in the worst case, they start to shame their believing spouse for not being the righteous priesthood holder or for breaking the deal. And that can drive the believing spouse into secret acts, secret behaviors, living a double life, living a split life because they're afraid to tell or show their believing spouse who they really are. That can become a huge problem. But then also the resentment that builds in the non-believer as they're continually living with this partner. It's like sleeping with the enemy. They're living with a partner that views them as a disappointment, that views them as a failure, that views them as
felt that way.
as bad or fallen or broken. And if you add time to that equation, years and years and years go by, you're going to grow apart. You're going to start hiding things from each other, and most probably dangerously, you're going to start building resentment for for each other. And that's when things get really bad. And that's why I recommend coaching or therapy or retreats or whatever, because you don't want 3-5 years of swimming in that stew. So now that I've set that up, can you guys talk about whether that...
Yeah, and I do want to say...
It goes both ways. There's the non-believing spouse looking at the believing spouse as a disappointment. Oh, you're an ostrich with your head in the sand. You don't care about truth. You're willing to stay ignorant, or you're not bold or courageous.
How are you not
enough.
smarter?
You're not smart enough.
Dude,
That's the one you
that
hate.
drives me
Can you guys
crazy.
talk about those dynamics?
Yeah. This person's so smart and intelligent. How are they not seeing this? When I hear people say that, it drives me crazy. Well, first of all, we've had a lot of therapy and life coaching.
Yeah. And you made that recommendation.
Yeah.
You guys really hit on that at the conference. Remember, they specifically said, hey, look, if you're going through this, you should seek help from licensed professionals who, and I think you guys made the point to talk to someone who specializes in dealing with faith crisis, with faith transition, with mixed faith marriages. Because I think the point that you guys made was that if we came to you with an addiction problem, you would kindly listen and then recommend that we go see someone who specializes in addiction, because that's not your thing. So you're right. We did see.
Yeah, I just want to throw that out there. Like, we try to be good at communicating. Justin's great at it. I'm not great.
I think you're great.
But you need help. We needed help. Like, it's a lot. It's intense.
So did you feel that way, that I was looking down on you?
Do you know what? I felt it. I did.
Yeah.
And you will agree when I tell you the story.
Okay.
When I went to renew my temple recommend.
Oh, yeah.
That was really hard for Justin, and I didn't even think anything of it. I went to the bishop and, went and did my interview, and I came back, and you were like 20 questions.
Yeah.
Like, what did he say? What did you do? What did this? And then finally, after a while, you opened up, and you're like, I just want to make sure that they're not telling you to divorce me, or they're not telling you that I'm not enough, or,
Yep.
That was hard.
Isn't that ironic that what you were, I was kind of defensive, and was because, at this time frame, Polly and I had not been going to church for a long time, neither of us. And we'd marched with Sam Young downtown, the Protect the Children thing. I don't want to speak for you, but we're both very opposed to these child interviews. We're opposed to any worthiness interviews.
Yeah, and we've been that way since we got married.
Oh, yeah.
We always said our kids would never be in an interview alone.
Ever.
Like, we've always felt
Even though
that
neither
way.
of us ever had an issue with it. We just... So then all of a sudden you wanted to go get a temple recommend. And it scared me. And the reason that it scared me was because it felt like we were stepping back, and I felt like it was going to be... Luckily, we know the bishop. He's our next door neighbor. He's such a good dude. We both really, really, really like him and his wife. We care about him a lot. But I still was very concerned, to your point, that is she going to look down on me? Like, is this going to be one of these things where I'm not worthy? Because we're raised under this, this construct where if you're not honoring your priesthood, which is attending all of your regular meetings. If you don't hold a temple recommend, if you're not, which means you have to be paying your tithing and living the word of wisdom, and I'm drinking coffee and alcohol sometimes. And it's like, okay, are you going to start looking down on me? And worst case scenario, are you going to have a group of people telling you that I'm not good enough for you? Mm-hmm. Are you going to have people telling you that you'd be better off not married to me? You know, it was super scary for me.
Yeah, you can get paranoid a little bit.
I did a little bit, for sure.
I feel like people are always looking at me, but I think it hit you right then.
It did.
Yeah.
For sure. So, yeah, we did feel that. I felt that. Sounds like Polly felt a lot of that too.
So she felt the judgment that she's not smart or courageous. You felt the judgment that you were inferior or less than or a disappointment. And that's just not fun, right?
No.
Polly, talk about your feelings. Were you disappointed? Like, he did break the deal. You had every right to feel disappointed.
You know what? At first I was. I don't
fair.
disappointed and hurt, maybe hurt. You know, he brings home all these things he's listening to and reading. And when you really do, years later, hear that he's done and he's not going to go back, then it really hits you. And it just, I don't know. I guess I was in denial thinking, oh, he's just reading these. It's all good. He'll make a way to make it okay. But then when you hear that, it just, excuse me, I don't know. It just, yeah, it hurts. It hurts. But
It's a loss.
it is,
a
yes,
death.
thank
It's like
you.
a death,
I'm like
right?
losing words. And that's what I would say. I said, I lost the person I married. That's how I felt. And that's not fair because Justin is Justin. And you're the same person I married. You truly are. But I just feel like I lost this, you know, this priesthood holder and returned missionary. And he was the one that would get us all to go to church and take me to the temple. Like it was him. He was the one that was kind of leading the pack here.
Yeah.
He was definitely the more religious one. And so it's hard. I felt like I lost him. And it's hard.
It is a loss.
Yep.
Yep.
Well, thanks for being vulnerable and honest about
Yeah.
that. So I have to ask, you stopped going to church, Polly. Like, what's that about? If you were still a
Well,
believer, why would you stop going to church?
Not really that intentionally. I feel like our life got a little crazy. Our daughter got in a really bad accident and wasn't walking and was down. And so that kind of put our lives on hold. And then, I don't know, I think I just got lazy. I think it was really nice to just take a break,
Yeah.
you know? And I'm scared, and this is so dumb, but I'm scared to be the lady alone with her kids at church.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that. Like our church, when we had a mixed faith family for a while, where like I'm getting excommunicated, but our kids are still in, and like our church is not set up for kind of part believing, part attending families. Talk a little bit about
Right.
either your fears or actually what that was like.
Yeah. My fears were just to be looked at as that poor mom with her young kids by herself. And that's so silly, you know? But that's what I was feeling, and I didn't want to go by myself. I didn't. So I didn't go for a few months. And then we ended up moving. And that's a whole other story. We live in a bus now.
Okay, we'll get there.
But anyway, we had this window of not going. And I just thought, you know what, I'm going to take these months that we're traveling, because I always say I'm floating. Like I hear the things you're bringing home and these truths you're claiming, and I hear them, and some of them I do believe. But I also know I have this church and this community and this tribe that I love and that makes me feel good. And I still believe that. So I thought I'm going to take these months while we're gone and just kind of figure out what I need for me. You know, like
Right.
where do I fit by myself in the church, I guess. Because, I mean, I have a 14-year-old and a 12-year-old, and if they see dad not going, they're not going to want to go to church, you know? So it's hard. I don't know how we're going to do this.
Right.
So let's talk about that. So first of all, Tammy writes, you know, that they can't afford therapy. Tammy, that's the good news. That's why we have Mormon Stories podcast. That's why we also created with Natasha and Margie the Gift of the Mormon Faith Crisis podcast. So if you go to mormonfaithcrisis.com, There's over 60 hours of free coaching and therapy, including an entire weekend retreat, the same one that Justin and Polly attended. We recorded the whole thing and put it up online for free, not just the lectures from me and Natasha, but the participation of the participants. And it's phenomenal. So you've got Tammy without needing to spend a penny, unless you want to throw a bone our way just to support us. But even if you can't or don't, you got 60 plus free hours of content that can really help you. So I hope, Tammy, you'll go to MormonFaithCrisis.com and take advantage of that. And listeners as well. We're not out to just kind of make all the money we can. We want to help people if they don't have a penny to give anywhere. And that's part of what the mission of the Open Stories Foundation is just to help people and their family members go through this faith crisis stuff.
And can I add something there?
Yeah, please.
Going out on a limb here, Polly. If this person, Tammy, wants to set up an appointment with you and Margie, I'll pay for it. We'll pay for it.
Oh, that's nice.
Seriously, because people do need help. Sorry, I'm getting emotional about it. People do need help, and we're not crazy wealthy, but I'll find a way. We can find a way to help someone, right?
Yeah.
Because it's hard.
It's so hard.
And I also want to say, part of the non-church thing for Polly, you're not letting on to this, but there's a lot of things that Polly isn't okay with in the church.
Right.
There's a lot. And, in your own time and place, you'll talk about those, but that's
okay
made
to
it a
talk
little
about
bit easier, that we're not always at church, I think. I think it's fair to say that. But the therapy is instrumental. Having somebody to talk to is so important.
Yeah, you guys, Natasha recommended Jana, and
Yeah.
we love her too.
Yeah. So,
Jana Spengler.
yes, she's so awesome.
And I
Yep.
think she works with Symmetry Solutions.
Yeah,
She does,
She's
yeah.
great.
Yeah, Jana's
Yeah.
great.
So,
Okay, well
Yeah.
that's a really kind offer,
Yeah.
Polly and
we
Justin.
can't afford to pay for that ongoing, but if it gets someone's foot in the door with you guys or with whoever you would recommend to this person, then
Yeah, we would like to
tell
help.
us and we'll help.
Yep. And listen to Katie and Alan. And you know what? Sometimes they take their listeners to dinner. And that's how we met them. And they're,
And then you find someone to talk to.
yeah,
Yeah, join the there's two groups I'm aware of. One is the Marriage on a Tightrope Facebook group, and the other is the Mormon Mixed Faith Marriages, I think, Facebook group. But there's two, and community is huge. So
Yeah.
even if you can't afford a therapist or coach, find other couples like you.
yeah, that helps
Join
so
those
much.
communities. Listen to Marriage on a Tightrope podcast, but meet with other couples, and the believers can connect, and the non-believers can connect.
We'll go to dinner with people.
We are lucky
Yeah.
because there's 3 or 4 other couples that are kind of where we are, and it's
So helpful.
helps so much. You just need people to relate to.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's great advice.
yeah.
So, let's talk about kids for a second now.
Okay.
One of the huge dynamics that couples face is the kids become kind of the center of a tug of war, where the non-believer is like, I don't want my kids, and I'm not saying the church is a cult, but the non-believer will be like, I don't want my kids raised in a cult, or I don't want my kids learning, the church's sexual hang-ups, or being taught that their bodies are shameful, or if they masturbate, they're evil. I got to get my kids out of the church, or they'll be brainwashed and ruined. That's kind of the fear and the terror that the non-believer feels. And then the believer's like, oh my gosh, I don't want my kids around my non-believing spouse, because if he or she's ever alone with them, then he's going to nitpick their faith and
gonna
tear their faith
brainwash
down
them.
and brainwash them out of the church, away from the truth. And so both are like, the kids become footballs in this nasty football / tug of war, where both are trying to, the believers trying to take the kids to church, but the non-believers trying to keep the kids out of church. And both are like petrified, and it not only negatively impacts the marriage, which is bad for them, but it also stresses the kids out, and it's bad for the kids. So it's bad for everyone. So can you guys relate to those fears? And if so, how did you guys work through that?
Yeah, I can.
Do it.
And I think the one thing that we do that helps us so much, we learned from you and Margie. We sat down as a family and did our values
Yep.
because I loved the church and what they taught, and Justin didn't like so much of what they taught, but we still had a value system that we shared. And so we thought, let's list our values. And a lot of them are things the kids are learning in primary, like be kind, be loving.
Yeah.
And that helped us a lot to get our values down. And then I think it made us both feel good to be like, okay, we're still on the same page.
Yeah.
We want this for our family. You know, take church out of it. This is what we want.
So a really good example, if I can interrupt, was instead of saying by values, it wasn't we value the word of wisdom. It was we value being healthy,
Right.
right? And so then we would define what that meant to be healthy, which is lots of sleep and good food and not bad foods, right? And that worked because lo and behold, we agree on that, you know?
Yeah. So that was good advice. Kind of sit down our values.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was. And you know what? I don't think we either of us have ever felt or have used the kids that way. The kids haven't become that proverbial football.
No, but I can't imagine dragging a teenager to church that doesn't want to go. Like
Sure.
I wouldn't do it, but that is hard.
It's hard.
So I know that we have our value system as a family, and that makes me feel good. If I do end up going alone, then I guess I go alone.
Yeah.
I'm not going to force my kid to go, you know?
So, yeah, the values thing is so important because it's so easy to get focused as a couple on where you disagree, where you don't share beliefs. And the truth is, 95%, you know, maybe a non-believer will want to try beer or alcohol a little bit. You know, maybe they'll stop believing in God or Jesus, you know, which seems like a huge deal. But if you think about the really crucial things in a marriage, honesty, I've never met a post-Mormon that's like, yeah, I don't believe in honesty anymore. or yeah, I don't believe in fidelity or chastity anymore. I mean, people become unfaithful, but even then they're like, not like I believe in lying. They're just like, oh, I screwed up, or oh, I lost my way, or you know, whatever it is. But you know, everyone's still the same people. They still believe in honesty, kindness, service, love, fun, physical health, mental health, family, kids. You're still functionally the same people, belief or not belief. And if you only focus on your differences about Joseph, differences about the Book of Mormon, differences about church attendance, then yeah, there's nothing to build a marriage on. But if you take the time to do a values inventory individually, then merge your values, and then have that be like your own family's proclamation of what your family's going to stand for,
Yeah.
then you've got something to build on, and you've got something that you share, and you'll find with the concentric circles or the Venn diagram that you're really 95% where you were on what's really important in terms of living a good life. Because really, you'd think, oh, well, if believing in God and Jesus in the Book of Mormon is everything. Well, no. What if the person believes in God and Jesus in the Book of Mormon, but they cheat on their spouse, or they lie, you know, or they steal from their neighbor, or they beat the kids, or they sexually abuse somebody? What good is the belief in God and Jesus in the Book of Mormon if the person's a scoundrel?
Right.
Would you rather be married to a non-believer who is a stand-up, awesome human, or do you want someone who believes in God and Jesus in the Book of Mormon that's sexually abusing and beating everybody? Like, obviously, I'm making extremes there, but I hope the point I'm making gets across that A, you actually do have a lot in common. B, you need to get centered around that. And C, if you do, you still have a wonderful life you can build together. And not only, you know, is it possible to overcome these differences, this maybe we'll get to at the end. Sometimes those differences can actually enhance the marriage.
For sure.
But we don't have to jump to that yet.
Yeah.
But I just want to reinforce this idea of values. We talked about it with Cody and Leah Young. A lot of people like that. But
Yeah.
Natasha and I have been talking values for years.
It was great. And I think getting out of the mindset, the Mormon, what you're drilled as a kid, like you have to marry a member. This is the way, this is the path, this is what you do. I think once you can step back and accept your spouse for who, you know, that person that you married, you didn't marry the church, I married this person.
Right.
then you get those values down and you're like, oh, we're still together. We're still us. This is us. This is what we believe together. It was big. I loved it.
And you've already kind of touched on this, Polly. Like, there's the non-believer wanting to yank the kids out of church, and there's the believer wanting to keep the kids in the church. I like to advise mixed faith couples that both need to chill out.
Yeah.
That if you get stressed out about pulling your kids towards your way, number one, you risk inciting what's called the backfire effect, where it's like, well, mom was so stressed out about me being in church all the time, and it caused so much stress in the marriage. I didn't want to be a Mormon anymore because Mormonism was making our family miserable, right? Mm-hmm. So it undermines the position of the believer to like try to be forcing the kids to go in the church or to have belief be a wedge in the marriage. But it's the same thing. Like if the non-believer is angry and bitter and frustrated all the time and negative and critical and all that, like the believer's going to go like, the kids are going to go like, well, I don't want to be like dad or mom who's miserable and angry and critical all the time. I better stay faithful to the church because otherwise like, I don't want to end up like that unpleasant, mean, nasty person. And so you number one, you risk the backfire effect if you really try and pull your kids either way. Belief and non-belief is a very personal, sacred thing. Mm-hmm. And ultimately, believing Mormons should believe in free agency and choice, because that's kind of war in heaven. Remember that? And non-believers should just not be the monster that they feel like they ran from. Who wants compulsion? Who wants to be judged? Who wants to feel like love is conditional? And if you as a non-believing parent are sending that message to your kids that you won't love them if they believe, that you judge them if they believe, that you won't treat them as well, what kind of person are you being? So there's that. And then there's the other thing, which is take your worst nightmare as a believing or a non-believing parent, which is if you're a believer, it's like, oh my gosh, my kids will leave the church. And if you're a non-believer, it's like, oh my gosh, my kids will be raised in an unhealthy church or a cult. I can promise you that there's something far worse than either of those worst case scenarios. And that's your kids being raised in a home where your parents are fighting all the time, right? And where there's negativity and tension and stress. That's more harmful to kids, I would argue, than being raised in Mormonism or being raised outside of Mormonism. So freaking chill out, so have a home based on love, unconditional love and kindness, and just let the kids do what the kids want to do. Now, I really apologize, Justin, because you said you were talking a lot. I've just kind of taken.
No, you're doing great.
So you guys fill in. Am I right? Am I
loved
wrong?
what you
You're
just said.
absolutely right.
Yeah.
I think our kids are. I think you're right. I think that taking it slow. Polly was so good about that, to not get uptight. She just said, if the kids aren't going to go to church with me, I'm not going to force them. And I would never sit my kids down and tell them that, that I think less of them, or even imply that. I'm super careful about that with my kids. That, look, we've got family who we love who still go to church every week. They're very active. They're follow the prophet type people, and we love them, and our kids love them. And the last thing we would want to do is disparage those people in front of our kids. That's not healthy. So I think you're right.
Yeah.
Right?
Anything else you want to add, Polly?
No. Again, with the Mormon pressure, I feel like, Atticus isn't learning the primary songs because we haven't been, the guilt. Like, it's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I would love to know what you think, but I think as time goes on and as we step outside of these boxes or these narratives that we've come to believe or have been taught our whole lives, and we see that it's okay, it's a liberating feeling. So we always joke about, Polly has a sweet family member who, when she found out I was drinking coffee, her response was something like, well, it's a slippery slope, right? And Polly and I are like, to what?
Meth.
To heroin?
To heroin, yeah.
And
where does it go?
we both kind of laughed about it, but we get it. We get why people feel that way. And then after a while, it's like, oh, Justin had a beer the other night and he came home and like slept next to me. And like, we're healthy. And he woke up and went to work and he didn't beat the kids. And he read with the book. You know what I mean? And once you start to see those things, that maybe there's another way to perceive these stories and to perceive what we do and what we don't do, then so, you know, Atticus isn't learning the primary songs and he's okay. He's actually really healthy and really smart and a really good kid. Right? Mm-hmm. Would you agree with all that?
Yeah,
I want to know what you think.
I do.
Okay.
It's still hard,
Right.
but yeah,
Yeah,
I
so
agree.
Polly, someone might be watching this, and it sounds like maybe you guys, Polly, you're not attending all the time now, and you're saying your kids aren't attending all the time. So like, in some ways, you guys are like the perfect couple to have on, because of how just elegant you both are, and thoughtful, and supportive and affirming of each other. Like in many ways, this is the ideal story to share. But on the other hand, one of the things that the tendency people see is that for a mixed faith marriage to work, it's the believer that has to sacrifice. It's the believer that has to lose their faith, and it's the believer that's got to accommodate the non-believer, and it's the kids who end up not going as a way to kind of make peace. And in that sense, and by the way, listeners, if you're concerned about that, which is totally normal, I'm going to bring in other couples where the believer, or both, the believer and the non-believer, are still attending, and the kids are still going. So we will have those as well. Having said that, there's a lot to learn from every mixed faith couple, including this one. But Polly, for those who are like, yeah, of course you get along, Polly sacrificed everything and she's given up on everything, and Justin's won, for those who are in that mindset, what would you say about that?
Yeah, he did win. I quit. I'm just kidding. I do, and I think I did feel like that a lot. Like he goes through this change, and it's me that suffers the consequences, right? I lost the guy I married. Mm-hmm. I lost my partner to go to church with. I lost, there's a whole list of stuff, and that's totally not fair, and I eventually got over it. But it's hard. And because of our life and how we're traveling right now, church is on hold. I'm a Mormon. I still believe. But I will say I've been opened up to so many other things from you that I think I believe in a different way. Meaning I don't want my girls to go in an interview, or my boys probably to even be interviewed unless an adult's with them. Yeah. Things like that. I don't believe how the church is with gay people. Like I'm not okay with that. So I've got things that I'm struggling with, and you'd think it would push me away from the church, but it kind of makes me want to go back to reconcile what I'm thinking and see how I need to be. Does that make sense? I don't know. So yes, I'm not currently going to church every Sunday right now, but on the road we will be going.
Yeah,
I want to go occasionally.
Right? Yeah.
But I also think we have this window where Justin doesn't go to the Mormon church. Can I say Mormon?
Yeah.
Okay.
Here you can.
Yeah.
This is Mormon Stories.
He doesn't go to the Mormon
Church will
church.
change in a couple of years.
I know.
They have to.
Well, we think that, but I don't know.
Yeah, we don't know for sure.
We don't know.
Yeah.
But I think Justin might want to go explore other churches while we're out and about. And
Sure.
I think that would be great to take the kids to go do. Mm-hmm. I just want them to have a platform, a faith, something, a foundation as they grow up. I feel like me not going right now, and even when I do go, I don't know if they're going to go with me. It makes me feel bad that they don't have this foundation I had as a kid growing up in the church.
Well, let me ask you about that, Polly. So, why are you not going? Why aren't you like, I'm going to go every Sunday because I've got to take the sacrament twice and go to the temple 3 times a week and pray and take 4 callings so that I can get my husband and kids back. Sometimes there's this backfire effect where the believer actually becomes extra religious and extra participatory
Scrupulosity, right?
as a way to balance out the faithlessness of their partner.
Yeah.
So why? And by the way, listeners, we're not recommending that the believer back out or stop going to church or back off.
This is just our story.
This is just one of many
Yeah.
stories. I didn't cherry pick this for that reason. These are just lovely people I thought would be able to share good perspective. But Polly, what's kept you from going hyperdrive in the other direction?
I had moments where I did want to go hyperdrive. And I don't know if part of it was just to be a butt to you and be like, I'm going to the temple tonight. You're watching the kids,
But
just.
you still believe. So, I mean,
I do. Yeah.
So it would also be sincere. Like you.
Yeah, it would.
So
But
why haven't you
I don't
done
know
that?
if I want to go to the temple without you. I love the temple and you used to enjoy going. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if I want to go by myself. So I haven't gone to the temple in a while. And church, it's the same thing. I don't know. I just got to get over this, but I don't know if I want to go alone.
That's fair.
And I don't even want to ask you to go with me because I know how much you don't want to be there, so that wouldn't be fair to you.
Do you miss it, Polly? Do you miss the temple?
Yeah, I do. It's funny, so many people have such a hard time with the temple, but I've always just loved it. And I think it's because I enjoy older things and tradition. And when I think of it that way, I think, I just love it.
Yeah.
I do. So that's hard for me. But with our lifestyle right now, with us traveling, it really is hard to go to a church every Sunday. We're going to be in the middle of nowhere in a national park campground, and it's hard. So I think if we can hit it once a month, I feel like that's possible. Does that make sense? What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But you do miss it.
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
Do you miss having a calling and all that stuff?
I'm kind of funny with callings.
She said no to
I'm
callings. all the
totally
time.
okay to say no to callings. That's just me. But plenty I said yes to.
Sure.
And I'm okay without a calling. I love to sit and learn and listen and be with people. A stay-at-home mom. Sometimes Sunday is your social hour, right? You get to sit with other moms and ladies in your neighborhood and chat, and
We definitely
got
miss.
a
I
good
think we
community.
both miss that part of it.
Yeah.
Is the community side of it.
yeah.
Okay, I'm going to come back to you, Polly. But,
Yes.
but Justin, let me just say to you, I understand the anger phase where you're like, burn it all down, and it betrayed me, and it lied to me, and I can't go. It hurts me to go to church, and it's too stressful.
Sure.
But usually post-Mormons work through that, and they get to the point where it's like, the church is like any other church, and Catholics go and they don't believe, and Presbyterians go and they don't believe, and Jews go and they
Atheist
don't believe.
Jews. Yeah, absolutely.
So there are. I think my brother does this with his believing wife, where it's just like, hey, I'll go.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll go, and then it's like 1 week on, 1 week off, or once a month, or whatever it is. Have you thought about? Are
and
you in a place where you're able to go with Polly?
Absolutely.
Without it being unhealthy for you or make you too angry. And have you thought about sometimes going just so she can enjoy it, just
For sure.
as an act of service? And now it's only 2 hours instead of 3.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Have you thought about that? And I'm not trying
Yeah.
to pressure you.
No, absolutely. And I think I'm glad you brought it up because for a long while, that's what we did. The anger phase for me.
He's over that, and it is true.
It is
do
true. You go through that. Yeah, but that was a long time ago for me. I haven't been angry about the church. There are some times when I'm like, holy, I'll get pissed. I got pissed once when they decided that they couldn't call themselves Mormons, that we can't call ourselves Mormons anymore. And what helped me through the anger phase was I wrote an article and sent it to the Tribune, and they published it.
Nice.
It's called Call Me Mormon. You can look it up. It's pretty cool. I'm like, wait, hold on. My dad was a Mormon, and he's dead now. I'm a Mormon. We're Mormons. That's what we are. Anyway, so I wrote an
Isn't that
article.
funny the non-believers writing that article?
Oh, dude, I was like, I'll ardently defend that we are Mormons as a people. So anyway,
But wait,
the good
we
and the
are,
bad.
aren't we?
Yeah, ethnically, that's what we are.
Okay.
You'll have to read the article.
Culturally, socially.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
the good and the bad. We've got some bad history. We've got some good history. Some bad people, some good people. Just take it as it is. So anyway, I did get angry sometimes, but I normally don't anymore. And we went to church. So I was not believing for a long time and was teaching gospel doctrine. And I was clear about that with my bishop. He was an awesome guy. Love him. just told him, hey, yeah, this calling sounds awesome, sounds fun, I'll do it. But you got to know that, and I have tattoos now, and I'm like, you have to know that I'm how I feel about some of this stuff. He was like,
Wait, this was stressful because I'm sitting in the class in the front row, like, that's enough.
yeah, she would
Don't.
give me the signal like when I was pushing it.
Slow down.
But we went to church at least probably 2 weeks out of every month, with the exception of the summers because we camp a lot and we like to get out a lot. But so we did that for a long time, and I a lot of that was because I knew Polly wanted to be there.
And then I got to the point Justin would go to sacrament with us, and then he'd go in the car.
Yeah, I just got a lot more out of reading a good book during Sunday school. I just got more out of that, so I would do that. But we went, and I'm still totally open to going. Polly hasn't. And you said that you don't want to ask because you don't think it would be fair, but we've talked about it, and I've made
we
it.
still need therapy. I mean,
Go on. I've made it clear that if Polly asks, I'll absolutely go. But to your point, is it healthy every week? No, there's no way. I'm not going to church every week. But will I go a couple times a month or once a month or whenever Polly asks? Yeah, absolutely.
And Polly, not to put this on you, but like, why aren't you just saying, hey, Justin, come every other week with me? It would mean a lot to me. I want to go. Or is there a part of you that's enjoying not going, or
Yes.
does going to church as a believer just make you sad that it's like a continual reminder that you don't have the marriage that the church wants you to have? Like, I could see, like, I know gay people that still believe, and so it's like,
yeah.
it's like going to church for them is even worse because it's just a reminder that they're a scourge of the earth and
Not
a sign of
okay,
the
yeah.
times. Like, church can be painful even as a believer because you're not living the ideal. And sometimes we feel in the church culture that if we're not living the ideal, there's not a place for us, or at least it makes us miserable because we just continually feel bad.
Right.
I don't want to. I
No,
shouldn't.
I think it's
answer
a
your
little bit
question
of
for you.
everything. I think it's
So
a
what
little
is it
bit of
for you?
everything.
'Cause
Yeah, I will say for 15 years we had 9:00 church,
Yeah.
and that's
Hell.
rough. It's really nice to have a little break. We sold our house, so we're not in our neighborhood and our ward. We're kind of traveling at the moment, so we don't have like a base camp, I guess. We don't have a home ward.
Right.
I guess that's my excuse.
Okay.
But I should just be brave and tell you I want to go and just go.
Yeah, I'm open to it. I think it's also been cool that we've had some amazing Sundays without going to church.
We have.
We really
It's our
have.
family day.
We go do some amazing things together because we don't have to go to church, and we don't have. I mean, it's stressful getting ready and going to church.
It is stressful.
Getting dressed, getting kids dressed, getting up. I mean, I think that we don't. There's a lot of times when both of us don't miss that. I know there's a lot that you do miss, but that I don't miss. And I think sometimes you've expressed to me, oh, it's so nice that we're in the canyon today, enjoying the snow or the sun, and not, in the church.
Yeah. So I say I'm floating a lot. I'm trying to figure out not only what I want, but what I need for myself.
Sure.
Whether that's I can go by myself and that's enough for me, or I should ask you and drag the kids, or I mean, I say this, I was so patient and I was supportive of Justin for how many years as you went through all this. And I
Yeah.
feel like now it's my turn. Like, a lot has changed with our dynamic in church. Like, I got to figure out what will work for
Be
me.
patient for yourself.
Yeah,
with
because
yourself.
it's for
Yeah.
me. Whereas I've been so focused on you and what do you need, and we can go every other week because it's too much for you. And now it's my turn.
Right.
So I'm just kind of figuring out
What you want.
what I want and need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because on the one hand, it's bad for the non-believer if the believer isn't affirming and supportive. And Polly, it sounds like you've just you hit the 99th percentile A+ range of being loving and supportive and understanding of your spouse, non-believing spouse, which is laudable. But if I'm a coach or therapist for both of you, then I'm like, well, the believer shouldn't be the one making all the sacrifices. They shouldn't be the ones stuffing what's really important to them. They shouldn't be the ones sacrificing all the things that are important to them, because over time you just are, it's not good to feel awful about being the only one making the sacrifices, and then you start self-medicating in way you prefer to self-medicate, because it's just not fun or healthy to always be the one sacrificing, and to not have you time, like you said, to not. So, I mean, like, am I hearing you say that maybe now that you guys have gone through some of the hard stuff, you're feeling like you're in a comfortable place together, that maybe there'll be a renaissance of your faith or church participation in some way?
Yeah. Yeah, that's my plan. That's what I said. This trip, this year that we're taking off in the bus and traveling, I'm like, this is going to be my year where I figure out, I guess, who I am and what I need. Because, we're a we, and we've always been a we with everything. But now that we're not a we with the church, I've got to figure out me, And I don't know if it's a church thing or a me thing, but I'm a people pleaser. I want to make sure everyone's taken care of, everyone's fed, everyone's happy, everyone's got what they need. And I guess I got to focus on me now.
Love it.
So, yeah.
I want to bring you guys back in a year to see where you guys are.
Yeah.
See where we are.
That'll be fun.
Yeah.
Let me ask you another question, Polly. So there's the kind of Orthodox Mormon narrative, which is basically, you're temple married. That's the most important. Who you marry and where you marry is the most important decision you ever make. That's the plan. It's essential for your kids. No empty chairs in the celestial kingdom. But also, like, you only go to the celestial kingdom if you're both sealed and worthy. And so, like, there's this whole Mormon, and there's just the fact that the most wicked people are not the people who are never Mormon. In Mormonism, the most wicked people are the people who believed and then fell away.
The apostates.
They're the sons of perdition. Like, who goes to outer darkness? It's the people that believed and then stopped believing, the ones who denied the Holy Ghost.
Justin and John.
Yeah, exactly. We're the bad guys. So there's all this Orthodox Mormon doctrine and theology, which is just like sad heaven for you. Like, you're just sad heaven. You're not going to be a
Sad
handmaiden.
heaven.
It's the heaven no one wants.
Maybe you'll make the lower degree of the celestial kingdom because you stay faithful if you go back to church, by the way, and keep paying your tithing and doing all the good things. But you won't be exalted in the highest degree of the celestial kingdom unless you're sealed to a faithful spouse, which means you're either going to be a handmaiden kind of serving other faithful couples in a lower degree of the celestial kingdom, or you're going to have to bail on your husband and get sealed to somebody else. Now, that's kind of, and maybe Mormons are going to disagree with my interpretation of Mormon theology. I was Mormon quite a long time, so I think I got some of that right. But like, that's my understanding of kind of like hardcore Orthodox Bruce R. McConkie, Joseph Fielding Smith Mormon doctrine. Mm-hmm. Has your faith, your beliefs, your level of orthodoxy versus liberalism in terms of theology and doctrine and heaven and judgment, have they had to change so that you're just not like miserable and depressed all the time?
Right. And I don't want a sad heaven. That does not sound.
So, and there's this cognitive dissonance theory, which is if your beliefs don't line up with your perception of reality, you either change your perception of reality or you change your beliefs.
Right.
Because you don't want to live with that dissonance. Have your beliefs, even though you identify as a believer, have some of these doctrinal beliefs and theological beliefs changed? And if so, are you comfortable sharing?
Yeah, that's interesting. And I think when Justin, was, toward the end where he was pretty much out, was hard for me. But I don't think I ever thought that we wouldn't be together.
You didn't buy that
No.
belief.
But I don't know if I ever have. I have a lot of close friends who aren't members and family members. And I just believe God is good. And I don't think that he wouldn't let me be with my family. So I don't
maybe
think...
let you be with your family, but you can visit your family in the
Lower
terrestrial
kingdom.
kingdom.
Yeah.
But you won't be exalted in the highest.
Maybe I'll come visit you.
You'll come down, you'll come down and hang out with all the
hang out with you
plebes.
too.
No, but what about
Yeah.
we're supposed to become exalted and become God
Yeah.
someday?
Yeah, and I think we will.
Oh, okay.
I hope so. And I don't
So
think
maybe Justin will believe again?
when he's on his deathbed, he will be rebaptized.
Either
And
that or you'll have to marry some other Mormon dude. And
I could do that.
Brigham?
I can be stilted
Joseph?
too.
Which one would you marry?
Oh, stop it. I don't know. I've just never stressed about that. I feel like God is good and he has a good heart and it will be okay.
So you don't believe that, or do you?
I guess I don't believe that we will be separated. I think we will all just be together
Yeah.
and there will be cookies and puppies and, it'll all be
Rainbows
good.
and gummy
we'll all be
bears
good.
and lollipops.
So you know what
Unicorns.
you know what I think is so awesome, something that we keep kind of applauding you guys, John, but we were at a session with you and Margie, and Polly was talking about this, and she's like, yeah, but then I feel like I'm just picking and choosing what I want,
Yeah.
what works for me.
Your buffet. Isn't that what
And
he
you
said?
pointed at her and you were like, that's what religion should be. Right? But and that's kind of what
That's what
it's
I
become.
do.
It's like buffet Mormonism. Like
Do
the
you want
parts
this
that,
calling? No. Do you want,
do you want
this
that
and
calling?
this and this?
Sure.
Yeah.
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 So you've made it work.
Yeah. And maybe I'm just a bad Mormon, but
Okay, so
what I do.
I'll give an example where I think your faith has changed. Interviewing kids. Worthiness interviews.
we said this even before.
Yeah, that we would be in there, but do we feel good about the
Even
bishop
them
asking
doing
our
it.
kids if they're worthy?
Not after listening to Natasha. No. It's kind of
See,
scary.
that's a faith.
So I guess I've changed.
yeah.
maybe
What
I've
about
changed.
like how do you feel about blacks in the priesthood?
Well, we adopted a black boy and that's crazy. I mean, you've heard about the blacks in the priesthood for years, but it just kind of is what it is. And now that I have a black son, it's like the mama bear comes out
Yeah.
and
And it's not okay.
It's hard. It's hard. But I'm okay with not being okay with a few things
Right.
to me. So I'm not worried that Justin's not a member and I am, even though we're sealed and all this and he's broken all these deals. I still think I feel okay about the afterlife. How's that?
That's great. And it's not like with the buffet thing or the cafeteria Mormon thing, like I'm trying to encourage people to lower their beliefs or lower their commitment to the church.
No, you made me feel like it was okay. That it was
Yeah.
okay that I take what I need and
Yeah.
love, right?
Well, here's the way I think about it. And, believers, forgive me that I'm an apostate and I'm giving you things to think about. But it's really hard to maintain an Orthodox belief in 2019. And honestly, if I were to give you advice, a believer, about how to stay in the church, it's to become flexible about your beliefs. Just like we talked about flexibility earlier. But if you are a rigid believer in Mormonism in 2019,
Good luck.
You really are risking this sort of rigidity that's going to implode, because the church is changing a mile a minute these days. And if you just look at the Gospel Topics essays, and yesterday's apostasy is today's gospel topic discussion.
Totally.
Yeah.
And yesterday's temple ceremony is changed, and today's temple ceremony is different, and yesterday's view on the Book of Abraham or the Book of Mormon is different than today's view, and what yesterday's prophets and apostles said today is being overturned. Like, I'm not saying there isn't truth and that there isn't important things, or even just like BYU didn't have caffeine and now they are okay with caffeine. Like, the church was really against marijuana or coffee, and now it looks like they may be softening on some of these things. Like, if you think that you're going to hold on to like 1960 or 1970s correlation era doctrine or dogma or theology, I think you're setting yourself up for disappointment and failure.
Yeah.
So on the one hand,
We've always felt that.
yeah. So on the one hand, I think it's good for you, believer, to realize that the church changes, prophets make mistakes, that your beliefs can be flexible, because otherwise I think good luck, like you said, Justin, with your
Yeah.
beliefs. So that's one thing. But also, like, just with the behavior, not just beliefs, but behavior, there's a lot of people, it's impossible to do everything that Orthodox Mormonism expects of you. Have a garden, write in your journal, daily prayer, temple attendance all the time, magnify all your callings, pay all this money. Like, nobody lives it all. Either people, nobody lives the word of wisdom fully, eat meat sparingly. Like,
Yeah. I'm the only one that admits it, right?
yeah.
Yeah. It's a lot.
Yeah, and that's
Yeah.
all I was saying. Is it not?
Yeah.
It's not that pick and choose what you want. Be a lazy.
Don't be
slack
committed to
Mormon.
anything. Yeah, you're
No,
not
I'm not
saying
saying
that.
that. I'm just saying, like, be flexible with be loving with yourself if you can't live up to everything, because that's pretty much every Mormon there is, including apostles and wives of apostles and family members of apostles. So like, cut yourself some slack if you can't do it all, because everybody's picking and choosing what they're going to do and what they're not going to do. And then be flexible with your beliefs, because if you don't, yeah, you can divorce your non-believing spouse and try and find some worthy divorcee on the market who's going to love your kids as much as your non-believing spouse. Good luck with that. I mean, it's possible, but it's hard. But then who's to say they won't lose their faith later, right? So you may as well just stick with the integrity, stick with the character, stick with the good person, become flexible in your theology and doctrine so that you can freaking survive this world as a believer.
Right.
I don't know.
No, totally. Yeah.
I think we agree with that. I think we used to always talk about that. Don't stake your faith on these things that are so tenuous, like that that everything the prophet says from the pulpit is doctrine. Because if you look, you don't have to look far. You're going to find things that the prophet said that we absolutely do not believe anymore from the pulpit.
Yeah. For
Right?
sure.
Yeah.
So I think that's really smart.
Yeah. And it's a demanding religion.
No.
It really is. And there's a lot of mom guilt, I feel like, from it.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm trying to focus on what I believe, what makes me happy, what makes me feel good, and just try to let the other things
So you know what we
not
also
only fall, but like, I don't know, I'm okay to say no to a calling. I mean, some people, that might be like
Heresy,
absurd.
blasphemy.
Right.
Yes.
But I have a good example of what you've done to kind of work through this for our whole family. We've done this, but you specifically. So that time when I met with Grant Palmer, I was trying to find reasons to stay in the church at that point, and my buddy was like, I don't buy any of this anymore. And Grant Palmer gave us both some really good advice. He said, I always talk about this because it really helped me. He said, it's okay if you leave the church, but you have got to replace it with something else. You've got to fill that void. And Polly does that. Like, we have this thing that I think your sister started, and Polly insisted that we start doing it every night when we have dinner together. We do this highs and lows thing where the kids go around the table and we each talk about what was our high for the day and what was our low for the day. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of come in place of all the other stuff that we used to feel like we always had to do for the church. That's the biggest thing that I've noticed, is that not just me, but you and me, we both have found space to do other things.
Yeah. I mean, you had demanding callings.
Totally.
You were gone a lot.
Right.
Yeah.
Young men's is crazy.
Yeah.
You're always gone. And elders quorum, that's crazy.
Yeah.
High priest group, like I was that was my last calling, was high priest group leadership, and it's in a ward with a lot of older people.
You were for sure the youngest high priest.
Oh yeah, maybe, I don't know.
You've been in a bishopric? Or?
No, they just called me. Maybe they wanted to keep me in the church. I don't know. But they called me, and I did it, and it was fun. But it's true, it's demanding.
It is demanding.
And in the absence of some of that, there's space to do other things.
Yeah. Focus on our values and
Even to just clear your mind to think about doing other things like highs and lows around the dinner table. Or that we're not going to go to this. We used to go to the Calvary Baptist Church.
It's a great church. It's
so
kind
awesome.
Of an African-American
that
church
one's
in Salt
fun.
Lake, right?
We go there so Ziggy's around black people because we live in Utah, And then you go back to our church, and my boy's like, "Where's the band?" And I'm like, "There's no band here. Sorry, buddy." But yeah, I feel like we're very open-minded with stuff like that. Like, we're willing to go to other
Absolutely.
churches for our kids.
But my point is that in the absence of some of the rigidity of the LDS church, we're free to go and explore new possibilities.
Yes, and we're together more.
We are together
with you.
more.
I mean, with me still going to church, I never had demanding callings, but you did.
Right.
So it definitely,
We spend more time together for sure.
yeah.
Yeah, so that's something I alluded to earlier at the beginning. Like, is it possible, like for many people, the mixed faith marriage is the biggest nightmare they've ever experienced. But I've seen it lead to actually stronger, healthier relationships where having all these problems force you to talk about things, force you to listen to each other, force you to become more empathetic, force you to dig deeper about what really united you. and then force you to kind of give and take, and then also to be respectful, and then to develop your own traditions and your own way of doing things that's just more personal and is a lot less rigid or impersonal or kind of
Scripted.
outsourced or scripted.
Yeah.
And so I'm not trying to like plant this or project, but if you guys had to give an assessment of your level of intimacy, emotional intimacy, which I think is the great barometer of a healthy marriage, if you had to rate your emotional intimacy now, your level of commitment, your level of connection, and just your overall level of family joy now, how would you rate it? It's kind of a stacked question because, of course, you're not going to go,
So do you
oh,
wanna,
it sucks.
should we
now.
see?
It's
Should we like
way
write it
worse."
down and see if we both have the same answer?
Answer. You go first.
I think no question, Polly and I are closer and healthier than we've ever been.
That's how you feel, Justin.
I do.
How? Why? How? Okay, so there's this perception in Mormonism that wickedness never was happiness, and you know what is wickedness other than someone leaving the church, right? That is the epitome of wickedness. Besides, like maybe, no, that's probably the epitome of wickedness. Now that I think about
Yeah.
it, so like, how could it possibly?
Because you're denying the spirit, right? At that
Yeah,
point.
yeah.
Well, because we do have more emotional intimacy with each other. And precisely because of the things that you just mentioned, we've had to do the work. We went to a Mormon Stories conference for our anniversary. Like, we didn't go to the beach or whatever. We had to go, and that's like a therapy
work. You
session.
did
We
the
did the work. We had to go learn about conditional love. I mean, of course, we knew what conditional love was, but we had to go learn about it specifically as it relates to the church and to us, because there was times when I was feeling conditionally loved, and I had to say that. There's a lot of work that went into this, and all of that work, fortunately, Polly leans into that. And as a result,
Most times.
yeah, as a result, we have emotionally intimate conversations. And those conversations are the building blocks for love, because you can't feel love unless you can be emotionally intimate. Maybe I'm sounding too forceful here, but I do. I feel like we're more emotionally intimate. I feel like we have more time together. I feel like the time that we do have together is better time. I feel like we are more authentic with ourselves and with each other. And that's very, very helpful. I didn't expect that actually to be as helpful as it is, but it is. It's very helpful for me to be authentic with Polly. You know, like for example, I swear a lot. I swear a lot. I always have. And Polly just leans into that and is okay with me being me.
I
most
don't
of the time.
like you swearing.
I know. Anyway, we're more emotionally intimate. I believe that. I think we have better, more quality time together. And what I was talking about a minute ago, we have more time to explore things together. So you don't realize it, or at least I didn't realize it, but the church consumed so much of my time and so much of our time. And not just physical time, but our bandwidth, our mental and our emotional bandwidth. Because I was spending so much time gauging what I was doing against what I was supposed to be doing. And when that went away, suddenly we were free mentally to do so many other things, or to think so many other things. A really good example, and I don't know if it's an appropriate time, but Polly and I just started a podcast. And I don't know if anyone's ever going to listen to our podcast. It's called Learning to Live. That's our podcast. We haven't even published it yet.
Talk about your travel now.
Okay.
Well, actually,
No, wait, I got to answer the question.
let's have Polly answer, and then we'll come back. But
the point of me saying that we started the podcast is that we freed up some time to do that. And the result is that Polly and I get together and have these emotionally intimate conversations with an imagined audience at this point. And it's awesome.
It's fun.
It's so healthy for us.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have done that before.
new opportunities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really quickly, I'll just ask you one quick question, then I'll come back to you.
Yeah,
Polly. Somebody would say, "Why would you ever stay faithful to your spouse once you leave the church?" Like,
Oh, geez.
well, so like, what would your answer be to that? Like, you don't believe in the law of chastity like the church teaches it. Maybe you don't believe in anything anymore, and if you don't necessarily believe in heaven or conditional heaven,
It's a fair
then,
question.
Like, why stay faithful? Why aren't you just sleeping around all the time and abandoning your marriage? 'Cause
Yeah. It's a fair question. And I think that because I think a lot of people are afraid that that's what's going to happen.
Or why aren't you a drug addict or an alcoholic or
Right.
beating your kids or all
the terrible things.
Yeah.
All the things.
things?
Yeah, because that's not who I am. It's not who my parents raised me to be. It's not what I was taught to be. I believe that humans are fundamentally inherently good, and it probably takes some kind of impetus to induce people to do things that are bad or that are harmful. Now, I am not saying that those things are necessarily bad, but I will acknowledge that when some of those value systems fall away, or when the foundation of that, what you thought was the foundation of that value system, so let's take affairs, sleeping around. When the foundation is you're going to go to hell if you do that, you're not going to make it to heaven if you do that. When that foundation falls away because I no longer believe in hell, right? I just don't believe that idea anymore. Well, then what? Does that mean I'm free to sleep around now? And I will acknowledge that you have to that's Grant Palmer's quote. You got to replace it. And that's what I did. I just did the work. I'm a journaler, I'm a writer, so I like to write stuff down, and I think a lot about stuff. I take time to do that. So I thought about these things, and I thought, is that the kind of person I want to be? And what is the real reason that we don't have affairs? What is the real reason that fidelity is important? And it turns out that it's not, for me at least, it's not because there's a hell. For me, it's because I don't want to hurt my wife. And I don't want to hurt myself. And I don't want to cause any more trauma for my kids than they're already going to experience because of me. You know? And I could do that across the board with the values that I once believed or espoused or held because of the church. I've replaced those values with other things. Another example would be prayer. You know, I don't pray anymore. Very rarely. I don't pray anymore. I do family prayers, but I meditate. I have an almost daily meditative practice that's 10, 15 minutes. I like it better, right? But I still replace that reflection and that introspection and that time to make myself better and to evaluate what I've done for the day and what I'm going to do tomorrow. So hopefully that answers your question. I get it. I get why people are afraid of that. I get that might be a reality for some people, that they lose that value system and then they do kind of go down this slippery slope, as it were, toward things that maybe they will regret one day. But it doesn't have to be that way. And that's not an issue for me. It's kind of like drinking. I'm okay to drink casually now and again, but I don't get drunk because that's not healthy. And that doesn't coincide with my values. And I know that some people would say, it's okay to get drunk every once in a while. And I'd say, yeah, you're probably right. But that's kind of what I've decided I've defined my values, and I think that's why.
Sometimes, and Polly, I swear we're coming right to you. Sometimes, though, like when someone leaves a church, it's like, I got to drink and I got to try drugs and I got to consider swinging and I've got to, get tattoos. And I'm not trying to say those are all the same, but I'm just saying, like, you want to experiment with all the things you didn't get to experiment on as an Orthodox Mormon or whatever. And I'm always torn on that because I don't think drinking is inherently immoral or even trying marijuana or, whatever people do with consenting adults sexually, I guess, in theory, that's their business. So on the one hand, I feel that way. On the other hand, in tattoos, my Mormon brain is like, oh, you're defiling the temple. But my daughter Maya has like 12 tattoos, and she's lovely. And, there's nothing wrong with that. So on the one hand, I want to be open and progressive in those ways. On the other hand, there's just this idea of like, why change? Like you've already broken the deal. You've already made things super hard. Why not just chill out on the alcohol or any of those other things, tattoos, and just like minimize the stress and the hardship that you're, inflicting upon your spouse. I don't mean to set it up that way, but
Sure. That's kind of the other side of it, I think, is what you're saying.
Yeah, and there's kind of pacing that and trying to minimize the distress and the disruption.
Sure, and I'm glad that Polly mentioned. I'm grateful that Polly feels like I did kind of minimize that a little bit and take it slow. But for example, I have tattoos. I love tattoos. I've always loved tattoos. I've always wanted to get a tattoo.
I've never seen them. I won't look at
She
them.
won't look at
I'm
them.
just kidding.
I hear you, and I think that that's where you have to be. You got to take things slow.
But there are times where I'm like, okay, slow down, dude.
Right.
Like,
And I appreciate it because
a lot.
because I don't always know.
So you listen to her when she says
I try.
slow down?
I certainly try. And I think it's this fine balance between, am I going to be cognizant of my spouse's needs, my partner's needs, and I'm going to listen to what she needs and what she wants? Absolutely. And I've got to balance that with me claiming my own authority and with me being my own person. And that's hard. That is a hard thing to do. And I will say it's very liberating as you do it and as you figure out what works and what doesn't, but it is tough stuff.
Okay. All right, Paulina, I promised I'd come to you. So is it possible that the marriage can improve even from the believer's perspective when, your marriage is entered into a mixed faith marriage? And I guess it's an unfair question because what are you going to say? No, it's worse. But
You good?
you can say that.
yeah.
Justin's giving you permission.
there were times when it was not going well.
For
And
sure.
it was too hard and broken and not on the plan, But now I feel like we're in a good place. And I feel like you leaving made me realize that I love you for you, not because you checked my boxes,
Right.
right? Like you.
When you say leaving, meaning my faith change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I wonder if we were both still in, like, what experiences or what changes in our lives would lead us to learn that. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, it's really cool that,
Could we have learned it without? Is what
yes.
Is that what you
But I
mean?
don't know if we would have learned that without you leaving the church. The church has a plan and a path, and I don't know if we would have gone there. So as hard as it's been, I love that you are you and that I've got to, be with you through this change and support you and see who you are and love who you are.
Thank you.
And I do feel like we're closer because of that. Yeah. As hard as it's been, there's so many good things that have come from it.
Thank you.
Don't you think?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Very well said.
Wow. That's cool.
Yeah.
And you're not sad, like sad life, sad heaven. That's not where you are, huh?
No sad heaven.
I love that.
I know.
That's my next tattoo.
We're going to be saying that
I'm
all
not
the
going
time.
to sad heaven. I'm going to tattoo that somewhere.
So it's not sad life.
No, I
Fallen
mean,
life, a disappointing life.
it had
failure of
it
a
had
life.
times where I felt that at the beginning of this change that he was going through. There were definitely times I remember sitting on the floor and just crying, like, now what? What do I do? What's going to happen? It's scary. It's scary is what it is. But I feel like we've had help and tools, and we've come to a place that works for us. And I don't know. I'm good with where we are. And sometimes I like that now it's my turn to focus, and maybe I do want to go to church by myself.
Sure.
Maybe I'll love it.
Might be awesome without everybody else.
Yeah. So I think what he's gone through is, as hard as it's been, it's also been a good thing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
How long did it take for you guys to be able to sort of say, "Whoa, this is actually starting to get better," just so people can have an understanding of kind of a reasonable timeline? Is it 6 months or?
Well, you've been going through this for years, but I will say maybe the last 2 have been the hardest.
You think so?
What do you think, as far as us marriage?
I think because of other issues, because of some financial stuff, because of some family stuff. Yeah.
Business
I
stuff,
think
yeah.
the last couple years have been the most stressful on us.
And maybe this just,
But I don't think, I think that our
Marriage is
relationship,
just hard.
it's freaking hard.
Especially midlife.
Yeah.
Right?
Super hard.
Right? But I think that our marriage has been stronger for at least 2 or 3 years now. I think it's,
Which means it was harder for how long? Or-
I think that our marriage was super hard for about a 2 or 3 year period.
So
Yeah.
don't expect, I mean, I
Don't
think what I'm
expect
getting at is
2
don't
months.
expect like 6 months or a
Don't you
year.
think that's right? Have I got that wrong?
no, I think you're right. But I also think like we went extra slow, and maybe other couples don't need to do that like we did.
Yeah, like I'll say when things started feeling really good for me, at least in our marriage, was when Polly and I were marching with Sam Young about, closed doors interviews between bishops and kids, because I felt so aligned with Polly, because that was something that we could both get behind. And I felt we had Ziggy, our little boy, sealed to us in the temple. I was not a believer at that point, and that was an amazing experience.
But you attended the temple as a non-believer.
Absolutely. And people are like, "Oh, you lied to get into the temple." And I'm like, "Yep. I guess so." I mean, that's the box that the church put me in, and I'm not going to deny that to my wife and to my family. And I can justify, I'm getting defensive. I can justify why that makes sense to me.
That was almost 3 years ago. I don't think.
I still had a lot of beliefs, but the point is, Polly and I had some shared experiences together going through this. And once we started having those shared beliefs, shared values, shared experiences, like the Mormon Stories Retreat was a big one, we just started getting along better.
I feel like we started working together.
Agreed.
Maybe we realized you're going through this and it's not pointing at me.
Right.
And you're going through this and I don't have to point it back at you.
And
and
this is hard for you too.
Yeah, maybe we finally realized that, and we just tried to work together and
But it was 3 years it was 3 hard years
of work.
Yep. Right.
Yep.
And I know some people do it way quicker.
Yeah.
We have friends who have gone through it a little bit, and they just they were like, "That's it. I read the CES letter and I'm out." And the wife's like, "Yep, me too. I'm out. This is all bullshit." And they're like, and they're gone, and they're fine. And it took them 6 months, right? So for some people, it goes really fast.
It's harder to stay than to leave, for sure. For me.
For some people,
yeah,
I'm sure. Anyway, does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Are we just rambling?
No, not at all. I just wanted to let people know that it takes time.
Yes.
And that hard work takes time. And that maybe for some it's really quick, but most of the time it takes years. But it's worth it on the other side. That's what I'm saying. Don't ever let religion wreck your marriage.
Yeah, it's
believer or non-believer.
Right.
If you're a non-believer or a believer, don't give the church that much power to wreck your family, because families should come first. Really quickly, Polly, people are thinking about the kids. Like, are your kids okay? So many people cling to the church because they're like, my kids won't be moral. They won't be ethical. They won't be responsible. They won't have integrity. You mentioned sometimes being concerned about them not getting all the things that you got.
Right.
And what parents going to say, yeah, my kids are a piece of work and they're lost and fallen. But I mean, for those who are like, oh my gosh, this will destroy my kids.
Right.
Are your kids destroyed?
No. But I do
doing
feel
all
that
right?
pressure. Yeah, they're doing well. I feel like I'm hoping on the road, and once we move and get back to, our own home and all that, I'm hoping they'll want to go to church with me. But again, if they don't, I can't force it. But that just makes us have to work together as a team to set up our own values and what we're going to teach them, instead of the church having it lined out for us. But
Like, if we go through our kids, Ellie, Millie, Atticus, Ziggy, they're all crushing it.
yeah, they're good kids.
They're all doing so well. Don't you think?
Yeah,
Yeah.
kids are awesome.
Yeah, I think they're doing really well. And I think that you're right. We just kind of had to replace some of that value system. And we still teach our kids. We still talk to our kids. We still try to impress upon them what we think is moral.
Yeah.
And what we think is important.
Yeah, and we still talk about with them like church, and
Absolutely.
they went to church for so long that they still know what it is about and what they believe, and they know what I believe, and
Right.
yeah, they're okay.
I actually think our kids are healthier. And I'm seeing it with our older kids.
By taking a break.
Yeah, because I think what they're doing is they're learning in their own way how to think for themselves. And they're seeing us model or provide an example of you can go and you cannot go. And you get to decide what works best for you. And if it's healthy to go, then go. And if it's not healthy to go, then don't. And I think they're learning that.
Yeah.
Do you disagree, Polly?
No, I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so here's one for you, Justin.
Okay.
If your kids came to you and said, "Hey, Dad, I'm going back to church. This church really means a lot to me. I want to serve a mission. I may want to get married in the temple." How would you respond to that?
Well, I think I can So we just were up in Logan a couple nights ago to see a photography exhibit, and we went and saw our niece, Polly's oldest brother's daughter. She is so awesome, right? And she's just anticipating her mission call
Any day.
any day. And she's so excited. And we took her to dinner just because we were up there. And she was telling us about how excited she was. And I could feel nothing but happiness for her. You know, this is what she wants to do. And she's making this decision on her own. And I think it'll be good for her. And so she's not my kid, but I do love her, and she's our family's kid. And I think that if I extrapolate from her to my own kids, I think that I would approach that with some skepticism, but with an open mind. And I think it would be, I'm going to support what you ultimately want to do, and I would definitely ask some questions and make sure that they understood a few things without wrecking their faith or their belief or their decision, because I don't think that's fair. I think by the time a kid is that age, I think it's crazy that they're sending kids at 18 now. I would hope that my kids would wait and go on a mission when they're 19 or 20. I went when I was 21, and it was really good for me to be older. But again, I'm not going to force that issue. I would encourage them to wait, but I would support it. I'd support what they're doing.
Nice.
What about temple marriage?
Absolutely. I would support that. I would tell them my story, which is, hey, you want to know what I wish I did? I wish that I would have had a ring ceremony that was super special and super valuable.
Well, the church does that now, right? Don't they do a separate, or you can maybe?
You have the option.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, they changed it so that now you can get married in the temple the day that you got civilly married, or the day after, I think, or something like that. And that's the way it's always been in other countries. It just wasn't that way here. And if we could go back and redo our wedding, we've talked about this. If I could go back, I would have got married civilly and had all my friends at our wedding, and my family and your family who couldn't be there because they didn't believe in the church. And then I would have got sealed in the temple later when they allowed us to. So I would probably talk to my kids about that. But again, if Ellie or Millie, any of our kids decided that they wanted to get married in the temple the first time, okay. I would respect that. I can still find value in those traditions and in those practices. I don't think they're all bad. Mm-hmm. I think there's some dangers and some pitfalls, but I think the cost benefit, in the cost benefit analysis, the benefits can still outweigh the costs depending on how you approach it. Is that fair? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This may come as a surprise since I'm an evil, apostate, bad person, but I like to tell non-believers all the time that there are so many worse things in the world than having your kid
Get married
be
in
an
the
Orthodox Mormon,
right?
And be married in the temple. Like sometimes when you're in shock, you think it's the worst possible thing, but like if all they are, there are problems with Mormonism, just like there's problems with nothing. There's problems. I mean, how many people convert to Mormonism or Scientology or Jehovah's Witnesses? I mean, if you listen to the ex-Scientologists or ex-Jehovah's Witnesses that I've interviewed, so many of them were raised by atheist or agnostic parents. They have the secular home where they didn't get the upbringing that they made them feel full. And so they become fodder for freaking missionaries of other religious traditions or even cults. And so...
That's so true.
yeah, and so...
There's worse things.
There are, but also like just, if you think about it, of course there are people that get hurt in the church, but on average, you're a decent person. You listeners are probably pretty happy with how you turned out. Well, guess what? You were raised Mormon, or you became Mormon, or whatever. The average Mormon, in my experience, is honest, hardworking, kind, industrious, successful. And that's just my experience. So if that's what the road that your kids end up choosing, is that really the worst thing? Or, are there a lot of other really awful things that could happen? So I just like to say, like, chill out. Let your kids have their own journey, in or out of the church. Don't be, Lucifer and try and control people's lives and take away their free agency, and just be relaxed. And everyone will end up where they are healthiest and happiest if they're just given unconditional love and support. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of you're shaking your head.
Yeah,
Paul. You
I
like
agree.
that?
No, I agree.
She's nodding.
I agree.
Nodding your head.
Yeah.
She's nodding your head.
I'm
yeah,
nodding.
You like that. Yeah. So tell us about this little adventure you guys are doing. What the freak is
Yeah.
up with that? And then come back to the podcast.
We're homeless.
We live in a
You're
bus.
homeless. Yeah, you
live in
just
a
sold your
bus.
home to who?
Natasha.
Can we say that?
Yeah.
We're like, we're so excited that we sold our home to someone who's rad.
Yeah, that's
She's
true.
so rad. We love Natasha. We went over there to pick up some of our last things and went in the house, and she was in there, and we were like, shut your mouth. You're the buyer. Like, she gave us a big hug. We love her. She bought our house. So we sold our home.
There must be a God.
There
Right?
must be. It worked out. It can't be
remember
a
that.
coincidence, right? No, I've always wanted to go to law school, and we decided about 7 months ago, this year, we decided that we were going to do it, that I was going to go to law school next year. And so it's a long story, but we just got into this position where it was like, okay, what are we going to do? We're going to have this space of time because of some business things and whatever, where we're just going to be in between jobs probably.
And
Between law school and a job.
Waiting to go to law school, hopefully out of state.
So what we decided to do is sell our house and
Most of our stuff.
we got rid of all of our stuff.
Minimalism. You minimalized.
We did.
We did. Yep.
We were
And
forced a little bit, but we loved it.
we got rid of everything, almost everything, and we bought a bus. We bought a school bus.
School bus that was turned into a tiny house. It's darling.
We love it.
We love it. And we're going to take the kids around the country for a year.
Yeah, we're homeschooling our kids right now.
We've already been out for a few months and we had to come back to do a few things.
Yep.
And then we're going back out.
So we've spent 2 months-ish on the road. Hands down, best part of my adult life ever. Best
too.
part of my life.
Me too.
Really?
It's
Yeah.
the
And are you
best.
still working or are you not working right now?
I'm totally unemployed.
Okay. Good.
I'm studying all day, every day for, the
that
LSAT.
LSAT.
I saw you freaking at the coffee shop studying your LSAT.
Yep.
Just
He's in his zone.
coincidentally the
Yeah,
other day.
yeah. It's
Shout out to 3 Cups.
yeah, love those
holidays.
guys. It's a lot of work to study for the LSAT at our age, and it takes a lot of time. So that's what we're doing. We talked about jobs. I think when the LSAT's done, I'll probably get some work because that would be odd not to for me.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we're super busy. Polly and I started a podcast, and we haven't published our first episode yet. I wish we would have. We have an Instagram page that people can follow. We're kind of posting
What's
the
it
story.
called?
It's at 6 of us in a bus _
Number
So
6.
the number 6 of us in a bus _ We're the Brown family.
Yep.
And
Follow our journey. We'll link the podcast.
yeah, we're doing a podcast, and
What will the podcast be called?
so the podcast is Learning to Live, and it'll document a little bit of our journey, but more than that, we just found in those 2 months that we were out on the road that we know a lot of people who have amazing stories and amazing experiences, and they're professionals in their own right.
Right.
And we found out on the road that we were meeting people like that. And we just thought how fun it would be,
To be able to tell these stories.
yeah, and bring these people in to help us all learn how to live a little better, because there's not really a manual to get through all this. And we just wanted, we just want to share the stories. Like, for example, we've already recorded an episode with a dear friend of ours, Jordan Eisen, who is an amazing photographer. And when you listen to him talk, it's unreal how much there is to learn from this guy. And so that's what we want to do. So we'll be busy doing that. Oh, who knows?
So
Who
what
knows?
types of places are you visiting as a family when you're driving around?
So we've done California.
Yep, we did almost the whole coast.
Yeah.
We've done Washington, Oregon. If you go to our Instagram, you'll see we went and visited our adopted son. We went and visited his birth dad,
Met him.
Aliu,
Yep.
up in Washington. Spent 2
Seattle.
full days with him.
Yep.
And it was like magic between Ziggy, our little boy, and his dad. It was so cool. And we took some pictures and put it on our...
Yeah.
So we're doing stuff like that.
We're
And
hitting national parks.
yeah, we've already been to a lot of national
Just
parks.
anything. We took the kids to Alcatraz.
We're going
That's
to...
a great place.
Oh, it was so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
homeschooling your kids, we just had our kids write reports about... They did research and then a 2-page essay on Alcatraz, and then we went there.
Because they're doing online school, homeschool.
So then they're teaching us about Alcatraz as we're walking around. It was so cool. And then we're going to go to Arizona. We're going to go to the South, spend the winter in the South, do a bunch of civil rights stuff, and just soak up all the culture that we can, and then go up the East Coast, and then come back across the country next summer.
I imagine your kids will always remember this.
When we got home after the first trip, we were gone for a month, and the first morning sleeping in our beds at Polly's folks' place, they're generous enough to let us stay there. Our kids, all of them, just independently, they all said, we slept better in the bus. We want to go back out in the bus. It's really fun.
It's fun.
So
It's a
that's
full
what we're doing.
bus. Yep.
Regarding, so how old will you be ideally when you graduate law school?
45.
45?
Yep.
So I started my PhD when I was 40.
I know.
Oh,
right?
that's good to hear.
And it was a 6-year PhD.
Yeah.
So the earliest I would be finishing my PhD was when I was 46.
Yep.
But I had a really wise person say, John, you can be 46 with a PhD,
Or 46
or you can be
without.
46 without a PhD. And I don't know if that even makes sense, but
I think it
worked for
does.
me.
It resonates with me. I've always wanted to do it, and someone called it my second act.
Yeah. Second
And I'm
act.
like, that's a good, yes.
Richard Rohr.
It's my second
And
act.
Jana just chimed in and said, Polly and Justin, love you guys.
Oh, we love you too,
that was
Jenna.
Jana Spangler. Love you, Jana.
Yeah.
So your second act.
Yeah,
Yep.
here we go.
And you're going to second act, Polly, as
I
you
know.
figure out
Me.
who you are.
I
and
know, right?
What you want.
Yep.
That's
I'm
kinda
excited.
exciting.
I am excited.
Way to
It'll be fun.
way to my congratulations. Way to take life by the horns. Way to make your life what you want it to be. Way to get out of the rut and to make life an adventure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's probably scary sometimes.
Oh, it totally is.
We're spending a lot of money. Like, it's going to be expensive. And, you know, there's these old dudes that always sit at the coffee shop, and I like to ask older people their opinions. And I asked them today, like, what do you think? Should I be saving my money instead? And both of them were like, well, we come from the Depression era. You know, they had strong opinions, but they both said, what for?
Yeah. These
are you gonna save it for?
experiences will be better.
Yeah, go do it.
You know,
So,
and take the church out. I mean, that was our first box shake in our marriage, don't you think?
for sure.
Take it out, and there goes your blueprint and your plan for what you're supposed to do. Right?
Yeah.
So
So let's make a new one.
let's make a new one. And I can still have my bubble and be in my box, and we can figure out what works for our family.
Right.
Yeah. And so we just decided, let's think outside the box. Let's do what we want to do.
I agree.
Yeah. So we're traveling.
Yep.
I love it.
Yeah. It's awesome.
Well, you guys are awesome. And I'm so grateful that you would stop in and do your interview today before you go out again.
Thank you
Thank you.
for having us.
I'm sorry I've been hard
Yeah.
to get a hold of, but that's
Oh,
my
you're
life
good.
You're
lately.
busy.
And
Yeah.
and so tell us again the Instagram link.
It's 6 of us in a bus _. The
Underscore.
number 6 of us in a bus _
Yeah.
And
Check out the
podcast
bus.
will be
Podcast is Learning to Live.
Learning to Live.
Should be up tomorrow.
Yeah,
wanna
I have
hear
no
us
idea.
talk
We've
some
never done
more?
it.
Well,
We'll
it'll
see.
take
Here
a
we
few,
go.
it'll
Take
a few
us
days to get up,
few days
right?
to get this
Okay,
podcast.
perfect.
Oh, yeah.
So get it
Perfect.
up.
That's
Yeah, okay.
great.
Get it up.
Yeah. We
will.
By the time we go live, you'll be live.
I
Perfect.
love it. And those in our same shoes, hang in there.
Yeah, free,
Yeah,
free
right?
therapy paid for by the Browns.
Oh,
Great.
geez. Paid
I'm
for by
kidding.
John.
It
You're a
is.
champion.
You are a champion.
No, really. Actually, if I could just say that, again, I'm not trying to sell for what you guys do, but do it. Join, like, if you're struggling at all, if you're in a mixed faith marriage, or if you're both have left the church or are leaving, or if you're just alone and you're leaving, just find help, because
Find people.
it's super hard,
Yeah, it is hard.
and the people just make it easier.
Yeah.
And these guys, the Delins, what they're doing, I'm not trying to just stroke your guys' ego. I mean it. Like, what you guys have done for us and what you do for people, it's invaluable. And you guys are angels. You guys are saviors, and I believe that.
Thank you.
Yep.
And also freaking Alan and Katie Mount, Marriage on a Tightrope. You guys are awesome. Keep it up.
Yes.
Check out Marriage on a Tightrope podcast.
Absolutely.
Thanks to Bill Reel for sponsoring them and making that possible. Give them money, give them support. Find a good therapist or coach. Join the Mormon Mixed Faith Marriage group on Facebook. Join the Marriage on a Tightrope group on Facebook. Find those podcasts. Listen to Mormon stories, episodes around mixed faith marriage. If you are in a mixed faith marriage, especially if one is still a believer and attending, and you've been able to make your mixed faith marriage work, we want to have you on Mormon Stories podcast. There's a bunch of people on my list already, but please reach out if you think the way you've worked out your marriage in a mixed faith marriage has worked well and is a good model for others. please reach out to me. We'll try and get you on. But follow Mormon Stories, and also follow the Gift of the Mormon Faith Crisis podcast. We've got 60 plus hours of these exact retreats that we've talked about, workshops, mixed faith marriage stuff, faith crisis stuff, all the content that you really need to sort of navigate elegantly your faith crisis and miss the landmines and the hand grenades and the potholes. Please check it out. It's good stuff, and it's all free. So check that out as well.
Yep.
So cool.
Absolutely.
And just thanks to everyone who supports us financially. Your donations make this possible. And if you guys want to support Mormon Stories, please do with a monthly donation. It's all tax deductible. We're transparent in our finances.
still
And we'll
donate
keep
to that.
serving people for as long as we can. What are you guys saying?
Just making sure he still donates to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys have been supporting us for a while.
Yeah.
So thank you so much.
Yeah, we
course.
love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
That
you
was
guys are
fun.
awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you. You're awesome.
I hope that helped somebody. It helped us.
It will.
to
Tell Margie
talk
we love
about
her.
it. Yeah.
Absolutely. You guys stay in touch, and we'll look forward to seeing you guys in the months and years ahead.
Love
Okay.
it. Thank you.
Thanks,
Thanks,
John.
guys.
Alrighty.
Thanks, everybody. Well, thanks for everyone who joined us live on Facebook. And we'll see you guys again soon
Don't
on
win the
Mormon
camera.
Stories Podcast. Take care, everybody.